This is for you.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Yeah, this for my dogs from the east to the west side. You rockin' brown and orange with me, baby. Let's ride. Represent the land, let them know. Tell them, here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. It's a beautiful Wednesday evening on the bye week. Dustin, I'm Allie Hyson, coming to you live from Sneeze Ferry, North Carolina. Joined with me, as always, on beautiful Boise, Idaho. Dustin, how's it going?
Well, it officially turned fall. It's now in the 60s here. It went from like almost 80 to 60. So fall just boom. It's here. It's fall season here. There ain't going to be another warm day till probably spring, but that's okay. It's football season. That's the way the weather is supposed to. All of our friends in Northeast Ohio said the weather has changed there too, to a very crisp fall-like feeling. That wonderful weather I got to enjoy at the Ravens game is gone of those upper 70s. So this fall season, Allie, my Boise State Broncos tried to throw away a game against San Jose State this last Saturday. They came back and won 35-27. So, but football was okay this weekend, but I was really getting mad. I was like, I'm not going to watch 2 weekends of crappy football. I'm not going to put up with this.
No.
It's a bye week.
How was your bye week, by the way? I felt refreshed on Sunday. I looked at David and I said, wow, this is just so nice. I don't have to let a team determine my mood for 3/4 of the week going forward this week. This is my week off for the year.
No, but you got your Buckeyes, right? They're going to make you a little emotional.
Yeah. And they always do. They always do. But you know, Dustin, it's the Browns that get me, though. It's the Browns that just fire me up. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a not so good way.
Yeah, as I say, I was worried about your Bucks there for a little bit at halftime, but they pulled away like most good teams do. But yeah, Allie had a lot to digest. We'll get into it. We get off a bye week, and we get one of only 2 undefeated teams in the National Football League coming to Cleveland this Sunday. You know, no big deal. No, that's not hard at all. We can handle that.
Look, this is a game that it really matters in a lot of ways, but it also doesn't matter in a lot of ways. You know, when you take a look at your AFC North standings, this game really doesn't matter. It has really no say in what's going to happen in terms of the outcome of the divisional standings. So that's good. You don't, if there is a game to lose, it is this one. But at the same time, Dustin, if you lose this game, the next one. After that, it's a must win. And I can't believe that we're at this point in the season where we're talking about must win football games. But it's a really important game in the sense that we need this team to come out and look right, especially coming out of a bye. In years past, under Kevin Stefanski, when they come out of a bye, sometimes they don't look so prepared. I think that as fans, we are kind of hoping and clamoring for this team to just look right. Now, it all starts and ends with Deshaun Watson. We're going to get into that. We know the health status of that. We've got some comments there. But, it's been nice to have this week off. But, this is a really big deal as we go into Sunday. This is a big game against arguably the best team in football.
Yeah, and I was going to say this as well. You never want the Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers, as you call them, to lose or win any game. But you kind of felt, I don't know if did you watch the Ravens Steelers game? Did you catch any of that game, Allie? I mean, it's like 10-2. And I'm like, what am I watching? And then it's 10-5 with the safety. And I'm like, the Pittsburgh Steelers just willed their way back into this football game like Steelers do. Like they literally did that and got that turnover against Lamar, and they just found ways within that last 8 to 10 minutes to win that football game. And I'm like, okay, I actually did want the Steelers to win because now everything is like compact, right? And especially everybody's within a game or game and a half out in the division. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it was nuts to watch that game. And I don't know. I just want to watch a competitive football game this weekend, like you said. I mean, the Niners, I live out in the West, Allie. I got Niner fans at my workplace. This is a real deal team. They win in all 3 phases of football: offense, defense, and special teams. This team is very well-rounded. But I got a little glimmer of hope, Allie, because, us Browns fans, we're always looking for that silver lining. Allie, are you ready for this stat? And maybe you didn't see this, but you're pretty smart. Maybe you did. What is Kyle Shanahan's record against Schwartz's defense when he's had to play them? What is his record
You know
in the
what? I
National
actually
Football?
don't know. I don't know.
All right, are you ready? He is 0-8 against Schwartz's defense and has not scored more than 20 points when he
Hmm.
has played against Jim Schwartz defense. I was like, well, that tells me that Schwartz knows how to scheme against the Kyle Shanahan offense. Like, that gave me some confidence. But I was shocked by that. I'm like, 0-8? He's never beat a Schwartz defense. So I thought that was a very interesting stat.
I did
Interesting.
not know that. And that's interesting. And this is a 49ers team that is putting up a ton of points. I think that they're scoring over 30 points in their last 12 or 13 games or 10 games or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't want to spew any, misinformation here, but it's something staggering. This is a team on offense that scores a ton of points. Look, we talk on this podcast a lot about the Shanahan Kubiak style of offense, the wide zone, and that's what your Cleveland Browns are right now. That's what they are under Kevin Stefanski. But kind of the mastermind behind it all falls under Shanahan. You can take a look at
Mhm.
his dad, what he's put in place, Mike Shanahan. But Kyle, I mean, he's a genius. This is a great play caller, great schematic philosophy. Just what they're doing offensively is truly remarkable. But that's interesting. If there is a way to stop it, and it's the Schwartz defense, well, you feel pretty good about that, Dustin, because the Schwartz defense goes up against it in practice every day with the Shanahan Kubiak offense that they run in Cleveland.
Right. And here's the thing is, but here's what I think is going to be interesting about this game. You brought up an interesting point about the 30 points and the amount of points that because they have the number one offense in the NFL now, correct? Is it? No, I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's the Dolphins. But the fact that they're putting up those kind of points, statistically, the Browns, the number one defense, and then you have the number three defense in the Niners. I don't know if there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. I think you might see a sludge match. The weather, I think, could play a big factor for this game. I saw a 70 to 80% chance of rain all day on Sunday, and we know what that's like at the lake with the wind and the rain. It just makes an effect on a football game. So maybe it isn't a high scoring game. Maybe it is one of those kind of just grudge, physical defensive kind of games where uh, either side's just trying to find an advantage in the football game.
Yeah, maybe. That would be, I think that's what you're hoping for as Browns fans. Because, I mean, to be perfectly transparent with everybody that's listening, I think that we all know and understand that this is a really good 49ers team, arguably the best team in the league. So for us to get on this podcast and say, this is exactly what the Browns need to do to beat the 49ers, we would just be blowing smoke. We don't know, obviously. I told Dustin before we got on the pod that said, the matchup here, it's not great. We'll be honest with you.
Right.
What do the
Yeah.
Browns need to do to win in this game? I don't know. Hope that the 49ers show up sluggish because they're traveling across the country. I mean, luck is a real thing, and that's not something you can count on. But you just hope that you kind of catch them on an off day. But to go back to your point, Dustin, in terms of the defense has to win this game, especially with the question marks surrounding Deshaun Watson. We're going to get to that in just a minute. This has to be a defense that can step up and be the defense that we saw in week 1, week 2, and even in week 3 here. We need to make sure that this defense, Myles Garrett, his crew, the defensive line, the secondary, that everybody on all levels, all phases of the defense are playing good football. If you do that, you stand a chance. If you cannot stop Brock Purdy in this offense, once they get a lead, they're going to just go full throttle.
Yeah.
Foot on your throat, you don't stand a chance. The 49ers offense is what Browns fans had hoped that the Browns offense would be like. They can establish the run. They can do it well. They've got gadget players like Deebo Samuel and what he can do. Brandon Ayuk is having a career year, and then Brock Purdy can just be a distributor. He can just fit within the scheme and be an offensive distributor, a point guard, if you will, to just really show the efficiency of that 49ers offense. That's what us Browns fans wanted this Browns team to look like, and it hasn't yet. So it really, I think, falls on the defense to have a really, really good day.
Well, let's talk about this, Allie. I know when you've pushed back a little bit on this, and I've been a little more positive, but I think Brock Purdy is a franchise quarterback, and that he has led this team and has proven it through, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 games at this point, almost a full season of games.
Yeah,
And he's not getting worse. He's getting better. He hasn't thrown an interception this year. He might be one of the only quarterbacks in the NFL that's not thrown an interception this year. And he doesn't just make the mistakes. He just doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's smart.
Yeah.
And I guess my point is, maybe our defense can confuse him a little bit and maybe get that first turnover of the year and stuff. But he doesn't, he's very smart fundamentally. He doesn't do stupid things. He just doesn't, he knows his lane and he plays within his talent level, right? And
Mhm.
knows, and I don't think he's a system quarterback either. I think he knows how to play football and he's just smart. And I just think,
Look, yeah. I said I think week 1, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sold on Brock Purdy. I don't know. I think he's a system guy. Well, when we were in the car driving, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, I said, yeah, he might be legit. Like Brock Purdy he's the real deal. So I think that's a real thing. I think it's too early to say whether or not he's a system guy or you can. It's just really hard to tell. But nonetheless, this is a great offense and they're super efficient. They use
Mhm.
the tight end, they use the running back. They're just distributing the ball very very well. So it's gonna be this is a tall ask for your Browns defense. But we've been vocal on this pod, Dustin, that they need to show us. They've done it week 1, week 2, week 3, where they looked really good. Can they consistently do it against the top tier offense? I think so. I think this is going to be a tall ask, but
Probably
I'm
the
excited to
biggest
see
test of
this.
the biggest
Oh,
test of
by
the year.
far, by
Yeah.
far. So you like we said, you are hoping that you maybe catch them on an off day, but to go back to your point of the defense and their efficiency and being able to hold Kyle Shanahan to under what was it, under 20 points or something?
He's never scored more than 20 on
Okay.
a Schwartz defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that this is Sunday's the right day to do it.
Well,
So
and if the
let's
weather's terrible, that's a whole nother added feature, right? Like,
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. Before we get into the Deshaun Watson situation and talking about that, want to give a shout out to our good friends over at K&D Property Group. Whether it is sophisticated suburban living, luxury downtown digs, or senior housing, K&D, the largest property management company in Northeast Ohio, has the perfect home for everyone. K&D is your one-stop shop for housing in the region with apartments and amenities for everyone, including residential, commercial, retail, and also corporate housing. Find your dream home at K&D. Visit knd.com to get started. That's the letter K, the word and the letter D.com. Dustin, real quick, I want to talk about our good friends over at Lorello Vineyards as well. I don't know if you saw, Dustin, but we did make the news.
yeah, we made the news Friday night. We were Operation Orange. They had picked us to talk about this interesting wine and how it was named after the Here We Go Brownies show. And Allie, I think Katie and her crew did a really good job. I thought they did a really good job with that article. And I thought Larry did a really good job of being on 4 hours sleep flying back from Italy. I think he did pretty well. Yeah, I don't know if you knew it. He was coming back
I
from the
did not know
Ryder's
that.
Cup. Yeah, he was coming back from a 4 hour Ryder Cup, and I love that he said, "I don't know if it was the love of just the wine or a buzz, but we made the Here We Go Brownies wine last November." So I thought it was kind of fun, him having a little fun. But no, it was a great thing. We love that it goes to a great cause and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And by the way, Allie, I've been told they have been selling a lot of those bottles. It's now been rebottled 3 times. So if you guys want to go out to lorellovineyards.com or lorellovineyards.com to order it or check out some of the other wines or go out to the winery. Go out and go out to Geneva, have a great day of it, take the family out there, make an afternoon of it. And it was interesting to find out that Katie, who interviewed us, she actually grew up in that area out by Geneva. So it was really
Oh, that's
interesting to
cool.
find. Yeah, so it was pretty cool and just a great cause and looking forward to that. And Allie, Larry's taking that bus all the way to Seattle. So 2 weekends from now, I will be up in Seattle,
Sweet.
um, where the 12th man is. I think it's so dumb they call it the 12th man. Don't even get me started. But we're going up to Seattle, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're gonna have a lot of fun up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that sounds like it. All right, let's get into it here. As you know, your Browns have been beat up. I'm gonna just go ahead and share my screen here real quick. This is the injury report for your Cleveland Browns. Cameron Justice, excuse me, just put this out on Twitter. So Joel Bitonio, I want to talk about this. He was on crutches the other day, did not participate in today's practice with a knee injury. We don't know the extent of that. There is some serious question marks regarding his availability as it pertains to Sunday. More to come on that. Amari Cooper did not participate, just rest day for him. Jerome Ford was limited. Miles Garrett did not participate with a foot. Also, keeping in mind, I know it's not listed here as a rest date, but that is probably what that is. Nothing to be super concerned about. David
What?
Njoku, good.
No, I was going to say, and it was revealed that he was not in the walking boot anymore. Miles Garrett was not in
Correct.
the yeah.
Correct. Yeah, nothing to be overly concerned with that. David Njoku, face and hand, limited and did not participate. Excuse me, not limited. Did not participate in practice today due to his injuries that he sustained in the home accident with the fire. By the way, I don't know if you saw the images. He posted a photo today of his face. I don't know how he played in a football game the next day. I don't know how he did it.
Well,
Did you
because
see that, Dustin?
I did. He's one tough son of a bitch, and we'll get into it
Oh
about
my
other
God.
injuries. Yeah.
Yeah. Ethan Posick, another one to talk about here, chest, knee, foot. He was limited today, which is good that he was participating in a limited fashion. Deshaun Watson did not participate today with a right shoulder injury. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. And then you can see the San Francisco's injury report here. They are not as long of a list as the Browns have, but you can see that they did have more DMPs. George Kittle did not participate today. His was rest. Mitchell
Hmm.
there with a knee did not participate. Trent Williams did not participate as well with rest. So nothing. Look, you're going to get the entire 49ers team. But is your Cleveland Browns going to be up to full health? It doesn't seem so. So my concern here is with the offensive line. Look, we've already had a ton of inconsistencies when it comes to your offensive line with the inconsistent play of Jedrick Wills. We'll talk about now with Joel Bitonio, his injury status with his knee. He was on crutches just the other day. I mean, that's concerning. And then Ethan Posick as well. So, Dustin, I am concerned as it pertains to the offensive line. If it was just one guy and you were kind of plugging Michael Dunn in, for example, at left guard, and you've had
Hmm.
an offensive line that has been consistent all year, I don't think you're too worried about it, but you're pretty worried about it when it's more than one guy. You are not getting consistent play out of your offensive line. And by the way, they're going up against the San Francisco 49ers that have Nick Bosa on it. So a
Yeah.
little bit of a concern there.
Yeah, and let me push back a little bit on that a little bit. And I guess just from the previous years of the past, we've not had. I mean, I can remember one game where a guy named Blake and a bunch of different guys were thrown into the mix of a Browns game, and we're like, we're screwed. This offensive line, and they actually performed very well. Which it's interesting. Like it'll be interesting. I feel a lot better about the depth at the offensive positions now than I did probably 2 years ago, even. And
Mhm,
so I think that's the next man up. But I mean, yeah, you could have multiple players out. But again, I think there's some quality guys behind them. I think they can
mhm.
step up and do the job. And I think, if you put somebody in at left tackle, might be better. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, you know, a change might not be terrible, I guess is what I'm
No,
trying to say. But yeah. But
I'm
again,
with
you
you.
don't want
I'm with you.
but you also don't want your quarterback running for his life the entire football game either. So
Well,
there's
let's
that.
let's before we get into the quarterback, I just saw this. I want to just share this to those who haven't seen it yet. This is David Njoku. He put this on his Instagram today. It's just highlighting the injuries that he sustained in the accident that he had at his home. Again, I don't know how he played the following day. Like this is
So
just
did
like
he wear a
crazy to
ski
me.
did he wear a ski mask or something over his face during the game? Do we know?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know he did wear it during the pregame, through the tunnels and everything, but I would imagine he had something covering this because,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's
So
just
so like so my question is that a flash burn? Is that basically what he got was a flash burn? Is that what they're saying that was?
I
And then
don't
he
know.
just yeah.
Ugh, but man,
That's
just to
that's
talk about his
crazy.
toughness, man, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. Let's talk about the quarterback position. We don't know who is going to be under center on Sunday. Look, we against Baltimore, there's been a ton of speculation. There's been back and forth, different types of reporting. What we know right now is there has been, and before we get into facts, just my personal opinion on the matter is regarding the injury of Deshaun Watson, which we now know is a rotator cuff situation. He had a contusion prior, but it's really they have narrowed it down now to the rotator cuff. So I'll talk about that here in a moment. But my personal just opinion regarding all of it was just a lack in communication or a lack of transparency throughout the organization regarding that, whether that was from his side, whether it was from the Brown side. For Dorian Thompson-Robinson to not know that he's going to be the starting quarterback until 10:30 the day of, that's crazy to me. So I think we can take a step back and from another perspective now at that Baltimore game and understand maybe why there wasn't another game plan put in place. If that is true, that even DTR and Stefanski didn't know that Deshaun wasn't going to be able to go until 10:30 the day of the game. That's mind-blowing to me. I think that's absolutely mind-blowing.
Let's talk about that, because Greg Williams talked about when he was in that position as a head coach, he knew 4 hours before game day of the situation of who his quarterback was going to be. And he was very adamant about that. You know what I mean? He was like, no, at 4 hours and 3 hours and 2 hours and 1 hour before kickoff, I knew who my guy was that was going to lead us out there on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know. That's why I find it confusing, because, Greg has been a head coach, a defensive coordinator, and it was like he didn't even hesitate. He's like, I know who my guy is. He's going to,
and that's why that's why I have kind of a negative connotation when it surrounds this entire thing. Just because I don't know where the lack of transparency lies. If it was Deshaun Watson being overly confident in his availability and being able to play at a high level and then decided last minute that he couldn't, or if on the Brown side they weren't able to figure it out, I don't know. But nonetheless, we do know now that it is a rotator cuff situation that Deshaun Watson is dealing with. And I will tell you this, I'm not a doctor, but I do have one sitting in the living room who happens to be an orthopedic surgeon. Shout out David. So I made him text me things before I went on the show. And I said, give me some bullet points as it pertains to rotator cuff injuries and what it looks like.
Yeah, bruised contusion or whatever it is. Yeah.
So this is what we got from David. Rotator cuff is made up of I can't even talk. Rotator cuff is made up of the tendons of 4 muscles that control over the head shoulder motion and rotation. So obviously you see this a lot in baseball. You see this a lot with quarterbacks. It does impact the range of motion as it pertains to throwing a ball. It does. Let's see what else here. The contusion is usually from direct impact and causes swelling and fluid, blah, blah, blah. Majority heal with conservative management and do not require surgery. So here's the thing on that. It's a non-surgical thing. I think it just heals with time, but it applies to the functionality, and we know that that's a word that the Browns have thrown around as it pertains to his injury. He was medically cleared, but wasn't able to go out and play at a high level. So my perspective on this, Dustin, is if you're not ready to go after the bye, if you're going to miss a game, if you're going to miss another game, it's this one. It's this one.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Rather than it down the stretch, you can't play against Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. This is a game that, while it does matter to us fans about seeing an offensive performance that looks right and a defense that it looks gelled in together, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. If you are going to lose a game right now, this is the one to do so. Go ahead. I know you had a comment to that.
Well, yeah, because my thought was you probably saw Andrew Berry and what he said about it, right? Because he got kind of pushed back on his press availability, like, hey, how is he medically cleared? And then you guys scratch him, right?
Yeah.
Before the game. And he said it was an easy decision based on what we saw on his throwing and stuff down on the field. I just don't understand how that wouldn't have been figured out before an hour before the game. Like I just, that's where I'm just a little lost. Like I think you got to be a little more prepared, because I think that kind of throws off your players too. Like, okay, we're not going out with we're not going out with Watson, we're going out with DTR all of a sudden. And now that, timing, all that stuff that you're used to with one quarterback now flips the script to the other side. Now, here's what also I've heard some other podcast people say, we loved Baker Mayfield's toughness and his grit to go out there and play through an injury. And they said, we literally saw the harness that he wore get bigger and bigger and more protected the more he went on the season, and the more he just got it more damaged and did himself no good, to the point where he needed surgery in the offseason because of it, because he just basically, it was hanging on by a thread by the end of the season. So I don't know if this is more a Deshaun Watson thing or if this is more the Cleveland Browns going, okay, timeout. We've been through this situation before, uniquely. We've seen a situation where we thought, hey, this guy can roll out there. And then he ends up getting really hurt, even worse, to the point where he probably shouldn't even be playing. He should probably shut it down for the season, right? Especially if you're not even playoff contention. And I don't know if this is more Deshaun probably maybe want to go out there and maybe they were like, no, we're not going to throw you out there and then not have you for the rest of I don't know. It's all weird to me. It's
It's
all
weird.
weird.
And I think it goes back to that lack of transparency and communication. We don't know from where, right? We don't know if it's Deshaun. We don't know if
Right.
it's the Browns. We don't know if it's a mix
Yeah.
of the two. Something's not right, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And I, 2 years ago, sitting on this podcast, we were talking about shoulder injuries, throwing motion, shoulder injuries. Baker Mayfield, should he sit it out? Should he keep going? We can appreciate the toughness, but at what cost? And here we are having the same conversation, but saying he needs to be out there. So to be honest, as a fan and as a podcaster, I don't know where I fall. I just, obviously we're rooting for the health of players, and we're rooting for the best product that can go out on the field at the end of the day. So for me to take a stance one way or another, I don't feel that I'm qualified to do so. Just kind of want to get on here and state the facts of what we know about the injury. Because to be transparent with all of you, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't truly know if he's going to be ready to go or not. We don't know where the fault lies. We just know that PJ Walker is ready to go, and he is now your second string quarterback on the depth chart.
So yeah, let's get into that a little bit. So he didn't practice today. He didn't practice
Correct.
Monday. What in your gut would tell you his availability would be for Sunday if he doesn't play?
He's not playing. If he's not practicing on a Wednesday, I would say 95% of the time they're not playing on Sundays.
Okay.
That's just in my experience of watching injury reports and availability on Sunday. I don't anticipate him being out there, but you've got PJ Walker, right? And I think that you're probably more comfortable rolling with him than DTR in this aspect. One, because PJ Walker has experience. He's started more games in the National Football League. He has more wins than losses. While it is a small sample size, he does have more wins than losses in the NFL. He's familiar with the scheme. And also just from a veteran perspective, is he's been in the league, and you probably feel more comfortable rolling with him in a big time game with just an absolute dominant defense and what the Niners have, rather than a fifth round rookie. And we saw what happened against Baltimore. We saw that offensive product. And while the scheme and the play calling wasn't directly built for DTR in that game, I think you can probably feel a little bit better as a fan rolling out with PJ Walker than you would with DTR for this game specifically.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I was laughing. I was like, if we won this game this weekend with PJ Walker, I would feel like we stole a game, like we stole a football game. Like we put Deshaun Watson on the bench and we rolled out with PJ Walker and won. But you know what? And here's where I want to go with that. PJ Walker, like you said, veteran, got those reps in, has been in the National Football League for a while. He's not going to have the wide eyes when he goes out on the field. Maybe, Allie, this is one of those games where I just mentioned the Browns have to win 14-13, 16-13, and he just has to manage the game, and our defense has to win us a game, right? Like we have to win the turnover battle, or something has to bounce the Browns' way on defense. I think this may be one of those games where the defense kind of has to rise to the occasion and win it for the home team, right? And say, like, look, we have an identity. We feel it. Grant Delpit's playing at a high level. JOK is playing great. The defensive line is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're stopping the run, right? They're doing all those things that we wanted this defense to do. Maybe this is just that moment in a season where a game defines a team, and the Browns defense goes out and just wins it with the defense and says, you know what? We don't have our full offense out there today, right? So we got to go out there and create opportunities for our offense and take away opportunities from the offense of the San Francisco, because that's the only way I personally see us winning this football game. That's it. I don't think we're going to play toe to toe on offense with the Niners. I am not a fool to think that, I think it's going to have to be just a sludge kind of game where they they play into our hands, I guess is the best way to describe that.
Yeah. I think in games like this, and this has been a complaint of mine for Kevin Stefanski and Ryan Day, by the way, you don't have to necessarily outsmart these other teams. When it comes down to it, you've got the talent, put the trust in your guys. You don't have to outsmart the other team, just outwork them, just outdo them. And I think in a game like this, where there are so many question marks regarding the health of your players, especially key players, your quarterback and your offensive line, just go back to basics, go back to fundamentals, and just go play sound football. Don't turn the ball over. Don't be stupid with it. Don't get cute. Put the ball in the hands of your playmakers and allow them to make the plays that they're getting paid to make. For example, quit with the gadget routes with Elijah Moore. Play him as a receiver. Play him as any type of receiver on the field. I don't care if it's slot receiver. I don't care where he's at. Allow him to be a receiver. Quit allowing Harrison Bryant to take snaps. Under center. What are we doing? Let's just get back to fundamentals. Let's get back to basics and stop trying to outsmart the other team. Ohio State does this, and it makes me want to pull my hair out, and the Browns do it, and it drives me nuts. I think in a game like this, where there's so much on the line, especially the health of your players, just keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Or just have Lou Holtz call the Browns and say they're playing soft.
Or that. Just question the toughness, right? That'll do it. Dustin, real quick, why don't you tell our listeners about Cleveland whiskey?
So if you guys haven't had Cleveland whiskey, you got to get yourself Cleveland whiskey. It is great. The underground bourbon whiskey with the black cherry is a great flavor, but also the peanut butter chocolate is amazing. It is a great flavored whiskey, but also they have so many the wheat penny, they have so many different flavors, but ask for it at your local liquor store in Ohio. And if they don't have it at your local drinking establishment, ask for it. Also, it is outside of Ohio now. It's in South Carolina. It's in other places. So if your bar or your establishment doesn't have it and you are a Browns fan, don't be afraid to ask your bar manager or bar owner, hey, I like Cleveland whiskey. We've made that happen in Kansas City. Kansas City now has Cleveland whiskey at their Browns backers bar. So don't be afraid. If you want Cleveland whiskey and you want to be Browns fans and enjoy it, ask and you shall receive.
There you go. There you have it. Let's get into it. Just kind of our bye week check-in, right? When the Browns go into the bye week, we talked last week with Greg Williams about how it is a self-scout and what they're really looking for. Let's do that a little bit here, Dustin. And I want to just open the floor to have a canned conversation, whether that's good or bad, regarding the team, key players, key positions, and our optimism or concern as we go down the stretch of this season. So I want to turn it over to you. Give me either a position or a player that gives you, I would say, your key player here, whether that is us rolling on their consistency or maybe somebody that needs to be better. Give me a key player or position.
Yeah, so, I love a guy that used to be at left tackle. They call that the blind side of your quarterback, right? His name's Joe Thomas. I miss him a lot. And we have a gentleman there now that I have seen very inconsistent play out of. At times he's good, not great. And he, I think, makes up for it in penalties. And I have a problem with that. So I would say the left tackle and Jedrick has brought me concerns. I know that's brought other fans concerns. And that's an important position in protecting your quarterback and the fundamental way your offense runs and the way you can create for the running game, all those things, opening lanes, all that type of stuff. So that part of the offensive line concerns me. And, it makes me think, is Andrew Berry thinking at the trade deadline, do we need to move on and cut our losses? Do we need to bring somebody in? I know there's been rumors of the guy from Denver. Are they on a fire sale out there? Are they looking to move players and save some cap room because of Russell Wilson's contract? I don't know, but I got to tell you, Ali, I sat there in person as a Browns fan, and I'm beating on the chair in front of me, beating on it because I'm like, Jedrick, stop! Like that's like 3 in a row. What are you doing? I'm pissed. I'm like, stop it, just stop. You're. It's now 2nd and 10, 3rd and 15, I'm like, you've just you don't give your offense a chance at that point when they're in the hole. So
Yeah.
that's my soapbox. That's where my biggest concern is the stability of the left side of the line.
Well, and I think that the instability of the left side of the offensive line is going to torpedo the entire offensive line into just poor
Cha-
performance, right? And it's going to be chaos.
chaos. Yes.
Yeah, and it's going to cause inconsistent offensive play, no matter who's under center. I don't care if Tom Brady in his prime is under center. If you don't have
Yep.
consistent offensive line and they're running for their lives out there, I don't know how you efficiently play football or win games. So I
Well,
agree entirely. My number one concern for this team, outside of quarterback health and whatnot and health of players, is Jedrick Wills. And I wouldn't even be having this conversation, Dustin. I don't even think it would be worth mentioning if he was even playing average football. He's not playing. When we drafted him, I was all in. I thought he was the best prospect out of everybody,
you
and I
did.
think
You did.
his
Yeah.
technique
I
his
remember.
technique was. But for whatever reason, the regression is astounding, and I don't know where or why or what that comes from. But year after year, and you can say injuries, but the technique, the inconsistencies, the penalties, everything has regressed in a big way. And it is the most important position on your offensive line. So when that's inconsistent, I feel that the rest of the offensive line is inconsistent. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if he was an average left tackle. But we're
Right.
not even at that. It is beyond below average. So I think anybody else would be would be acceptable, to even just give you a little bit of protection, less penalties, just better technique. It's I know that there were some concerns with his effort and character, coming out of the draft, and unfortunately, I think that we're seeing it play out. You don't see him going above and beyond to do anything. When he gets beat, he just lets it happen. You're not really seeing. You're just not seeing a love for the game there, and I don't mean to say that because I don't know Jed, and I'm sure he's a great guy, but the passion's not there. The give a damn level's not there, and that in and of itself is a huge concern. Let alone the play.
Yeah. And here's for me, like, you can just look down south to the Bengals a couple years ago when they had an atrocious offensive line, and Joe
Still
Burrow
not
was getting
great.
no, but I mean, but he was getting killed. But again, but you see, you brought up a good point there. They're not great; they're average, right? You just want average, right?
All
So
we
it's
need.
like, yeah, you just need above average or average. And like I said, I can't say it enough. I was so infuriated in that game, and I was with Ray, and Ray looks at me and goes, "There goes Jed. There goes Jed again." Like it's like we already know that he's like going to get penalized because he's going to hold a guy because he can't keep him,
Mhm.
in the play. And you're right, it does create chaos. And I think people like Nick Chubb, being as great as they are, cover up some of those
Yes.
inefficiencies because they're so great at their position. They cover up those inefficiencies, and when he's not there, they become more and more glaring at that point because
Mhm.
of obvious reasons.
Yeah. 100%. Couldn't have said it better. Nick Chubb just covers up a lot of mediocre play. So that's my number one cause for concern. My second one, and I mentioned this earlier, is Elijah Moore, and not necessarily the player that Elijah Moore is. I think he's very talented, but the utilization of Elijah Moore. Look, I love being creative and I love thinking outside of the box when it comes to these types of players. I know that the Browns want to use him almost as a Debo Samuel role, but at the end of the day, there's only one Debo Samuel, and it's Debo Samuel. So I think that's a large part of it, and I'm sick of seeing Elijah, not necessarily just lining up in the backfield, but the creativity that they're using. I think just puts him and the rest of this offense at a disadvantage. I would love to see him in more of a traditional wide receiver role. I think what the Browns are doing offensively is just a disservice to Elijah, who's a very talented player. So I can't put too much fault on Elijah, but if I see another game where he's running 20 yards in the opposite direction on whether it's an end around, a jet sweep, or anything like that in the opposite direction, I'm going to quite literally pull my hair out. So I am over that. I look. I mean, if you look at Elijah Moore and what he's done so far this season, 17 receptions for 148. I mean, he's averaging 8.7 yards every time he touches the ball. So, like, he is talented. It's there. It's just the utilization is lacking.
Yeah.
So my blame there is obviously on Stefanski and this offensive coaching
Right.
staff and the way that they're using him. I mean, we could go down the list of receivers. I mean, they do great with Amari. Amari's awesome. But Elijah, I mean, Cedric Tillman, we haven't even talked about him, which is kind of a good thing, by the way. You know, he's your rookie. You know, we can, you know, kind of ease him into the role. Maybe you don't want him just out there thrust into a role that he may not be ready for yet. But I mean, if we take a look at these receivers, you've got a ton of talent in that room, but they're just not getting the most out of. Partly because when you lose Nick Chubb, it takes away from every aspect of the game. And I acknowledge that. And you can't replace Nick Chubb. But we need to shift offensively, whether that's philosophy, scheme, personnel, whatever, to be able to put these pass catchers and skill position players in a position to succeed and be able to just spread the ball down the field. You've got the talent. Elijah Moore's there. I would prefer to use him in a better way.
Yeah. A concern for me is you just brought it up, but my concern is Cedric Tillman. I just
Yeah.
feel like he's just a ghost. I don't see him in games. I don't see him being because he has got such good raw talent. I don't know why we're not using him and utilizing him more. He looked so great in the preseason. Many I think Randy Moss went out and even said this kid's the real deal, like, and made comments on Twitter. I don't know why we're not seeing more of him. Like
Well,
like
yeah, I mean, here's the thing with that, Dustin. I think, yes, I agree. And I think we will. I think we need to be patient with him. One, because he is a rookie. But two, I mean, I'm just going to go down the list. Let me just read you the depth chart. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then behind them, you've got, and by the way, David Njoku, another great pass catcher, Marquise Goodwin, David Bell, and then you get to Cedric Tillman. So there's just, there's a lot of mouths to feed in that room. So I don't think we need to be panicked or concerned just yet. And I'm not saying your concern isn't valid here, but I don't think we need to hit the panic button yet on the utilization of Cedric Tillman. I think the overall panic should be the way that they're distributing the ball and like the scheme
yeah,
and
like you yeah,
do we at
like
least get the ball in the hands of the playmakers before we start to worry about who's who. So that's my overall concern. I think if at this time next year we don't see an uptick in production from him, then we can be a little bit more concerned. But there's a lot of mouths to feed. I think that there's a ton of talent in that room, even in the running back room. Skill position players, pass catchers. There's a lot of guys here that want to get the ball.
yeah, and for Tillman, I just want to see more of him in a game, just opportunities.
Sure.
I'm not saying he has to take over the wide receiver room. I'm just saying I want to see him out there in a game where he can create some separation and just show off his skill set. I'm just
Yeah.
not seeing that. And I don't know. I just wish I'd see more of him.
Mhm.
I would also like to see more of Donovan People Jones. I'd like to see him more incorporated into the offense. And I don't know. It just seems like I just feel like when I watch a Browns game right now, it's David Njoku, Amari Cooper, or Elijah Moore. Like those are the three guys, the only guys I see at wide receiver. I don't see a mix. You know what I mean? I don't see other guys being rotated in and creating some, a different look for these defenses. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to surprise me. Like you got three
Mhm.
guys, right? Now, is Amari Cooper amazing? Yes. And by the way, he's one of the greatest route runners in the NFL today, right? I don't have a problem with him because I know he's going to catch it. He's going to be in stride. He's going to be great. But I think you got to mix it up. And I'm just not seeing
Sure.
enough of that. And when they do mix it up, they're doing stupid crap, Allie. These double end around craps with DTR in there. I'm like, what the hell are we
Oh,
doing here? Like I'm sorry, if DTR is my quarterback against the Ravens, guess what? Here's my playbook. Okay, the first ball, we're going to run it. The first play from scrimmage day is going to be a run, get 4 yards, and get you comfortable in this offense, DTR. But it seemed like that first drive, they were done because they were doing some weird offense, to your point, Allie, that nobody was like, what are you doing with this kid out there? This is way over his head, like
well,
literally.
not only that, it's a matter of defenses have figured out this scheme in a lot of ways. If you go back, let's just say 5 years ago, this scheme, the wide zone, what they like to do offensively, it was hard to defend. And giving credit to defensive coordinators around the league, they figured it out in a lot of ways. So that's why I said earlier, you don't necessarily need to outsmart other teams. Just outwork them, outdo them, out talent them. Because I just read the depth chart. You heard those names. You have the talent here.
Right.
It's just you're putting your team at a tremendous disadvantage by just trying to get cute with it. And I hate saying that because I know everybody says, you just Stefanski tries to get too cute, but it's just true. It's just what he's doing, and it's driving me nuts. Real quick, before we get into anything further, a quick word from our friends over at Circle K.
Circle K's Hot Chicken Wings. And the best part, the price is as hot as the wings themselves. Pick up 6 wings for just $5.99 at your local Circle K today. So what are you waiting for? Gather your friends, your family, and anyone else who craves the ultimate wing experience. Circle K, where every deal is hotter than ever before. Here we go, brownies. Only at Circle K.
All right, who else you got on your list of concerns or optimisms?
Optimisms? Oh, I can bring some optimisms too. Okay, optimisms. The kicking position with Dustin Hopkins.
Yeah.
I am actually very happy, and I think we weren't as Browns fans. I don't think we would have felt this way week 1, but now we're going into week 6. I think Browns fans feel pretty confident that we have kind of a reliable kicker. And you know what I like about it? We're not talking about him, right? He's just doing his job. He's just doing his job, going out there and kicking. And by the way, I think it's funny. We had Matt Stover on, and he said, "Hey, these kids, from Texas with the wind blowing all the time, know how to kick a ball." And you were like, "Hey, maybe that's the trick. Maybe we just need a guy that kicks with the wind all the time and knows how to work through the wind." But I don't know. I've been very happy with Dustin so far. So
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that if you look at like a key contributing player as we go down the stretch of the season, I mean, you can't be successful without a kicker, and we know that, Browns fans. We know that we've lived it, and what we've seen so far from Dustin Hopkins has been, I mean, it's been great. You're not going to ask him to kick it from 70, but that's not what he's known for. But he is consistent with extra points, close field goals. You feel good about trotting him out there, and it's nice when we're watching a Browns game and I can just like use the restroom when they're kicking an extra point, not have to like cry about it. So that's a really good point.
You bring up a good point, because if you think about 2 years ago what the Bengals did with their kicking and the field goals, that got them to the Super Bowl. That literally having that kind of success at the field goal position really propelled them down late in the season. So you're right. You have to have all 3 phases of football. But no, I would say going into the season, I was like, okay, I don't know much about this Dustin guy. Let's see what he's got. But now I'm like, wow, he's just pretty consistent. That's what I want from my kicker.
That's all we want. We don't want to have to talk about it. I don't want to have to say his name unless it's for a good reason. Hey guys, if you're wondering what you should have for dinner, the answer for you is Angelo's Pizza. Head on over to Lakewood to get your hands on the best pizza in all of Northeast Ohio. They do it right. Angelo's does it right. They start out with a buttery crust and they do double layer toppings. It's great in the restaurant, at home, and even just as great the next day. Head on over to Angelo's today. My optimistic key player here is Myles Garrett. If we look at just a key player and key to the success of this team for the remainder of this season, if you don't have Myles Garrett, you don't have much going on defense. Now, I don't mean to say that is a discount to any of the other talented players, right? We know how good Zadarius Smith is. We know how good the linebackers have been. We know Grant, JOK, Denzel. I mean, the list goes on of very, very talented players. But there is nobody in the National Football League like Myles Garrett. I mean, TJ Watt is awesome in what he's doing. Nick Bosa is another one. They're very different players. Myles Garrett, what he brings to the table defensively is otherworldly, to be honest. I mean, he is just a beast out there, and it's truly a beautiful thing to watch as Browns fans. We haven't had that really a player of that caliber that you can say, man, if you don't have him, what are we gonna do? We know how hard it has been to produce anything offensively without Nick Chubb, because the truth of the matter is you can't replace Nick Chubb. No matter what you do at the running back position, you cannot replace Nick Chubb. And I think the same goes for Myles Garrett. He is what Nick Chubb is to the Browns offense, Myles Garrett is to the Browns defense. And he is on a career pace right now I mean, he's my favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, and he's just playing the best football I've ever seen him play. So I just want to give credit to him and what he's done so far this season, and I only see it getting better. I anticipate at some point this season he's going to have just a breakout game like he did a couple of years ago against Chicago, right? He had like 4 or 5
Right.
sacks in that game.
Right.
Welcome to the NFL moment for Justin Fields. But, when you can contribute at the level that he does, man, it just makes things so much easier for your defensive coordinator and the rest of your defensive teammates.
You know what'd make me happy is if Myles Garrett had a welcome to Cleveland Brock Purdy moment. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Brock Purdy is not a big guy. And somebody said he kind of looks like a nerd when he's on the sidelines. You wouldn't even know he's the quarterback. But yeah, I'd be okay with that. But Allie, we got a cruise coming up here in
We do.
March. So if any of you guys would love to go on the cruise, go out to the Browns fan cruise and go out there and book that trip. Allie and I will be hosting, along with others, 22 Browns alumni. That's right, 22 Browns alumni, March 11th. But go get your tickets out at Browns Fans Cruise. We'll be doing stuff from the ship, from the beach, from everywhere. They actually have payment plans. So if you're on a budget and you want to have that trip starting to pay now and have it paid off by the time you go on your trip, book it. Come join us. We'd love to have you. It'll be a lot of fun this March, going to Jamaica and obviously the Bahamas. I can't wait. It's going to be fun to, I'm starting to lose that weight. So by March, I'll be ready to look good, feel good kind of thing. Your secondhand diagnosis makes me feel a little better about maybe not needing surgery in the near future. So I'm feeling good about that. I haven't seen my doctor officially yet. Don't want to break any HIPAA violations on our show, but Allie, you know what I also like, Allie? Recliners. I like recliners. I like sitting in a recliner when I'm watching a football game. Now I have a Browns backers group. I go sit with them. But on a bye week, Allie, I like sitting in my recliner. So why don't you give our friends over from Cleveland Furnish Company a little quick shout out?
Yeah, you know what? I also love reclining, but you know what else I like? I like saving money. So if you are in the market to buy any new furniture for your home, head on over to the Cleveland Furniture Company to shop now. This is a family-owned and operated company that has its roots right here in Cleveland. They are a true family business, but they save their customers money, because they buy in bulk direct from the factories. Check out this quick video from our friends over at Cleveland.
Like our 5th location and give each other a high five or something. I don't know. And now Brunswick. And now Brunswick, which we're here right now. You're like, oh, that's so funny.
All right, Dustin, let's get into it here. Let's go around the league and talk a little NFL games. You'll be pleased to know you beat me last week. It came down to the wire in that Packers Raiders game. I'll tell you what, I thought the Raiders were they were going to.
By the way,
they didn't. They
I'm going to put this out there. Stats you don't look at when Allie and I are doing this, because we don't do this. But I did not know this before that game, that the Raiders had not beat the Packers in 36 years. I don't know if I would. I don't think I would have made that pick. I got to be completely transparent. I was like, no, maybe not. But that's why records are made to be broken, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's get into it. Who do we have first? Broncos at Chiefs tomorrow night. Who you got?
That's obvious. Chiefs.
Yep, Chiefs. Ravens at Titans.
I'm gonna go Titans. Actually, I think the Titans are frisky. I'm gonna go Titans here because Vrabel's a good coach. I'm gonna go Titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I'm not. Give me the Ravens here. I was gonna go Titans. I actually just deleted my name here from Titans. I'm gonna go with the Ravens because they lost to Pittsburgh. I think they bounced back. I think they're better offensively. Titans defense pretty good, but I like the Ravens offense a little bit better. Panthers at Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Saints at Texans.
This is gonna be a good game.
That's gonna be a really good game. Yeah.
I hate to say it, the Texans are pretty good right now. I'm gonna go Texans.
I'm going Texans with you. I'm all in on CJ right now. Man, he's playing just amazing football. Commanders at Falcons.
Falcons. I'm going to go Falcons here.
Yeah, I think so too. They're weirdly good, but bad. It's very strange. Colts at Jags.
Is Taylor going to play? Is he going to get some significant time? The running
I
back.
think so. Yeah, I believe so.
Jags are good though, and the Jags lost right over in London. Is that right? They
Yes.
lost. Is that correct?
No, Jags won.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to go Jags. I'll go Jags here.
So I agree with you. I'm gonna go with the Jags because it's at home. But the Colts just seem to have Jacksonville's number for whatever reason, but they do not have Anthony Richardson, so it'll be Gardner
Correct.
Minshew. Because of that, I am going Jacksonville Seahawks at Bengals. This is gonna be a good game.
I do know this about this because I have friends that are Seahawks fans, and they won't like that I say this, but typically the Seahawks play like hot garbage east of the Mississippi, always have for their
Mhm.
existence of a franchise. As much as I hate the Bengals, I do think they squeak this game out against the Seahawks.
Yep, agree. Vikings at Bears.
Well, the Bears are on a one-game winning streak. But let's see. Vikings at Bears. I think oh, hang on. Jefferson's out, right?
Yeah.
Jefferson's gone. So Jefferson's out. I think the Bears are playing a little hot magic. I'm going to go upset of the week, Bears.
All
Over the
right,
Vikings.
that's something. I'm gonna go Vikings. 49ers at Browns.
Well, this is the one game I'm going to say they're not going to win. And I think the Browns are going to lose. I hate to say this. I think the Browns are going to lose 17-9. There's not 17-9. I'm going to go not a touchdown in this game. PJ, Walker, he doesn't mess it up, but 17-9 Niners. I'm going Niners.
Yeah.
I have to. This is where we talk about the brown colored glasses. We got to take them off.
I know. I'm with you. I'm going Niners. Real quick, Joe just said he is new to the podcast. Joe, thanks for taking the time. Do we just talk to each other? Do we interact with viewers? We do try to interact with the viewers. Be sure to check out our pre and post game shows on Sunday. If it's a 1 p.m. kick, you'll catch us post game, where we definitely dive into the comments, sometimes take calls. So always want to interact with you. But Joe, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. But we are on every Wednesday, so we love hearing from you. Your questions, concerns. We're always monitoring the comments. But I'm with you, Dustin. I hate to say it. Gross, but I'm going 49ers. But obviously we want the Browns to win. Patriots at Raiders. Patriots, what the hell? Are they just the worst team in the NFL right now?
Which is bizarre to say with Bill Belichick as the head coach.
I'm kidding. They're not, but
are they? I don't know. They're 1-4. They're 1-4, Allie. I'm going to go. You know what? No. You know what? This is one thing I do think Bill Belichick has some pride to himself.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to go Patriots here on the road. They bounced back because they got just
2 weeks in a row. You're right. I changed my mind. 2 weeks in a row. They've been embarrassed. Give me the Patriots here. I still am out on the Raiders. The only reason I initially went with them is because it's at home, but Patriots going up against former offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. I think
that's
it's going to be a pride game.
Yeah, it's a pride game. Yeah,
yeah.
Teacher versus the pupil. Yeah.
Yeah. Lions at Bucks.
You know what? I mean, we all don't want to say it, but Baker Mayfield's playing pretty damn good football right now.
Yeah.
3-1 leads the conference. Or it leads his conference. But the Lions are pretty damn good. They're a good football team, and they're coming with some fire. I'm going to go. The Lions there's something in the water. They're playing pretty good right now. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Yep. I'm going Lions here. Cardinals at Rams.
This is weird because the Cardinals are kind of streaky too. They're up and down.
Yeah, they are. They
I'm going to go Rams though because it's at home. But we all know there's no Rams fans in the stadium when they go to the Rams because there's no Rams
agree.
fans.
Yeah, give me the Rams. Eagles at Jets.
Eagles. By the way, I saw another stat. Random. Yeah. That was awesome. That's twice I've heard that cat today.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Obviously, sorry, it was who's the Jets playing who?
Lions. Or excuse me,
Let
not the Lions. Jets. Eagles at Jets.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles, and there was some stat that it's been a long, long time since the Jets have beat the Eagles. It's like
Hmm.
a long time. So
Yeah. Give me
I'm
the
gonna
Eagles. Giants at Bills.
Bills.
Bills. And last but not least, Cowboys at Chargers.
I love this. I'm going Chargers on this one. I am going all in on the Chargers.
Yep, me too. I think the Cowboys are finally going to be exposed.
They are
Um,
exposed.
yep, I think that they're on their decline. I think.
Did you see how? Just not to get on a soapbox here, but did you see how wide open Kittle was? Kittle was
Uh-huh.
like 3
Mhm.
touchdowns to 1 tight end. That's unacceptable. And they talk about how their defense is their strength on that team. Dude, he was wide open, like
Yep,
wide open. It
completely.
remind me. It reminded me of the Browns last year on some plays where a guy's like, "How is
Uh-huh.
he
It
that wide
seemed
open?"
familiar. Yep. Guys, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you're doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, beloved from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard rich in both taste and tradition. It is loved by millions. Head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. All right, Dustin, any closing thoughts as we wrap up on a beautiful Wednesday evening?
Yes, just 2 things I ask of my Cleveland Browns. If you're watching this podcast, and maybe some of you are, or you'll watch it later. I don't know. Just make our game watchable this weekend. Make it at least watchable. Play a competitive game. Stay safe. Don't get injured. But just play a competitive game. We know you're not completely healthy. Uh, that's how an NFL season is. It's a long season, but just put a product on the field that is watchable. That's all I ask. That's all I'm asking. A watchable game on the field.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I would love to see it. Just I
How
want
about
it to
you,
look.
Allie? How about you, Allie?
I
What do you
just
want to
want
see?
it to look right. I just want it to look right. We've seen a defense that comes out every single week that is prepared. I would say that against the Ravens, when you're out on the field that much, you're gonna
They're
get
gas.
tired, you're
They're
gassed. So
gas. Yeah.
I think that they get back to their full strength. Offensively, man, I just want it to look right. I just no matter who's at quarterback, I want to see the play calling be better. I want to see the run game established as long as we can. If we're not down early, I want to play a clean game. This isn't a team that has played a clean game yet this season. I don't think, and it's just disheartening. I want to see the offense be able to just keep the ball clean. So that's what I want to see. So we'll see. Let's
Yeah.
hope. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.